figured I'd get another one of these out before, you know, the month of June ends. And, well, one thing you notice is that there's a whole bunch of Super Nintendo games here. There's some more there. That's because I got a whole bunch of games for free recently. I mentioned that a couple times now. And I promise that'll be the next gaming pickups video that I do. But for now, I'm going to be talking about some stuff that I got in this month, and also some stuff I got kind of like pre-Anime North. So let's not waste any time. Of course, Nintendo 64 games. So, yeah. Here we have Wonder Project J2. I don't remember the exact full name of it, because I know it's like Wonder Project J2, Corollo no Josetti no Forest, or whatever the hell it is. I don't remember the exact full name. Anyways, this is a, like, life simulator, also a point-and-click, you know, kind of adventure game, very text-heavy, and as a result, you can't play it because it's in Japanese and whatnot. Sequel to the Super Famicom game, Wonder Project J. And, well, if I'm being perfectly honest, this is honestly one of the best games on the N64. It really, truly is, and just nobody knows about it. It's really almost like a one-of-a-kind sort of deal, because, of course, in general, seeing, you know, 2D heavy-based games on the N64 is not very common, but this is one of them. It's, you know, sprite-based, and it has a very distinct, like, art style, and, you know, very distinct, like, animations to it, and just, when you just look at it, it's mind-blowing. It just has that very distinct charm to it. And as a game itself, it's also really good, too. It's just that it's, you know, of course, you can't play it unless you know Japanese. There is an English translation of it, you know, unofficially, of course, because this game was never going to come out in North America. It just simply was not. So maybe if I get an N64 EverDrive, I can play it that way. You know, you play as this, you know, robot girl who's trying to become more human and whatnot. And I'm really glad to have it, even if I can't play it the way it is. Especially in box, too, because this box art, I hope the camera's focusing, but this box art is fucking awesome. I love it so much. And, you know, just being able to hold it like this and present it that way is just great. And, you know, I'll definitely look forward to playing it sometime soon, you know. Again, I need an N64 EverDrive to do it. This game actually did come with a memory card and a sticker for the memory card. That sticker's really hard to find. In fact, one thing that's interesting is that the game came with a cardboard tray to hold both the cartridge and the memory card, whereas Japanese N64 games, the trays are usually plastic. Case in point would be with this one right here, Daizamon 3D, or maybe it's Daizamon 3D. If I open it up, you know, as you can see, plastic tray. These are what Japanese N64 games came with. It's also got the manual. Oh, and also here's the cartridge for Wonder Project J2. So, this game right here is interesting. It's part of a somewhat short-lived series, actually I'm pretty sure it was short-lived, series of games that allows you to create your own shoot-'em-up. There's one on the Famicom, there's one on the Super Famicom, there's one on the Saturn, and this is the Nintendo 64 one. I've mentioned this game before and how it's pretty much the only other shoot-'em-up on the N64, besides Star Soldier Vanishing Earth. And the case of this, well, there's 3 pre-made, you know, built-in shoot-'em-ups based off of, you know, working with the game's engine, you know, so gives you, I guess, some inspiration or an idea as to what you'd be getting into if you actually made a shooter. I can't make a fucking shooter. If anything, it seems like a very complicated process, and in the case of this, well, you know, I'm sure language barrier has a thing to do with it, you know, fumble around the menus and the instructions. So I can't really judge this game from a creation standpoint, and I can't even really judge it from the built-in game standpoint. There's 3 built-in games. 2 of them, one of them has 5 levels, one of them has 4 levels, and one of them has a whopping 2 levels. They're not supposed to be, you know, full-out shooters, again, given what they are, but they were somewhat amusing. You know, I played through all 3 of them, which I guess that would qualify as beating the game. But this game is not worth getting for those you know, built-in shoot-'em-ups. It's just fascinating to see another shoot-'em-up on the N64, even in this sort of context and capacity. Though, again, it's kind of hard to judge because of, you know, the aforementioned reasons. Okay, also, yeah, there's the cartridge. Here we have World Cup 98, you know, because the World Cup, it's happening now, 2018, all that. I wonder how that's treating them. Of course, I was going to get this regardless, you know, because, again, got to get all 388 N64 games, but, figured, hey, now is a probably good time to do it, because, you know, World Cup's going on, as I mentioned before, so perfect timing. As for the game itself, well, it's, I guess, a slightly tweaked, updated version of FIFA 98 Road to the World Cup. It seems like a fair enough game, you know. I'm not really the type of person to judge or give full-out, you know, analysis of, you know, EA Sports games, but whatever, it's still cool to have, you know, and it's cool that it ended up on the N64. And then lastly, for now, we have Top Gear Rally 2. This generally goes for like $20, but I ended up getting it for $7, so, or $8, I believe, yeah, $8 or $9. So I thought that was worth it alone. It's, of course, well, a sequel to Top Gear Rally, though it's actually quite different from the first one. It's weird. It tries to be both simulation, but at the same time arcadey. It doesn't really have the best sense of speed, I'll say that much. Like, there's things where, you know, oh, tire damage and, you know, like, damage to all kinds of parts of the car will happen, you know, if you, like, accidentally crash it somewhere or, you know, go into water for too long or something. With my time spent with it, I wasn't too hindered by it too much. And, you know, truth be told is, maybe somebody could get around it, maybe somebody really likes this game and got really into it. I've never been able to really get into serious simulation, things like that, where, you know, you have to take care of car parts and, you know, buy them, make sure you don't hurt them during races. But in the case of this, it just feels awkward, you know, because again, it feels like there's a bit of an identity crisis going on. Does it want to be simulation? Does it want to be arcade? Who knows? Though, again, I had an okay time with it, nothing too mind-boggling, but I'm not sure how much I'll get into it. But hey, it's a 4-player racing game, so I guess that's worth noting. Okay, how about original Game Boy game? Here we have Basojo Senshi Sailor Moon R. I was gonna get this because, you know, hey, I kinda like Sailor Moon games, never watched a single episode of the show, but you know, I've had positive experiences generally with Sailor Moon games, and I thought, hey, this would be a fun, you know, easy little platformer, kind of like Sailor Moon on the Game Gear. Though Sailor Moon on the Game Gear is a much better game. It does a much better job of being a nice, fun, simple little pick-up-and-play platformer. And while this is not a bad game inherently, it just doesn't feel quite as, you know, deep or really as well-made or as fun of an experience. It feels a little more flat. Though again, not saying it's a bad game, it's just, you know, it doesn't leave the quite same as good impression. And sure, it does have like a story mode, you know, and whatnot, because like the regular main platforming section and whatnot, that'll last you like 20-25 minutes. I beat it twice. I think once is like Sailor Jupiter or Sailor Venus, I don't remember exactly. Or Sailor Moon and Sailor Jupiter, I think, if I recall correctly. But yeah, just not as enjoyable as a platformer as it could have been. And I understand, you know, Game Boy game, licensed Game Boy game and whatnot, it just feels like a game that wouldn't have a ton of effort put into it, but I don't know. Let's see, how long is this? And we have Rise Star on the Game Gear. This was pretty interesting. I never really got too much into Rise Star on the Genesis, though thankfully I do, of course, have it on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, and I don't really feel motivated to actually go out and buy the original Rise Star Genesis game. In the case of this, it was cool, you know, it's of course cool to have another Game Gear game, and a first-party Game Gear game at that. It's pretty similar to the Genesis one. There's not a ton of different things, but now you collect stars, so, you know, you have some collectibles and whatnot. Get 100 of them, get an extra life. You can, like, throw around a spear and whatnot, which you couldn't in the Genesis version. It's a good game. It's a very good, you know, fun platformer. Probably actually put more time into this than I did the Genesis game, but now I actually have a reason to revisit the Genesis game. But of course, Rise Star, like many other franchises, you know, kind of like a one-and-done sort of thing, and knowing that it's Sega, it seems no matter how popular the franchise is, it's dead unless it's Sonic, Yakuza, or Valkyria Chronicles, so, yeah. Okay, I guess staying on the handheld side of things, here we have Mario Party the Top 100 for the 3DS. Now, as you may know, it's a remake of various mini-games from Mario Parties 1 through 10. And, you know, it does have some, like, other modes, you know, like how other Mario Parties would have, like, minigame modes, like a minigame tournament or something like that. You know what I mean. And well, in the case of this, I'll just say this about the game. For one thing, it's lacking in characters, like, why aren't Toad and Toadette playable? Like, come on, really. But I'll say this. it's cool to see these minigames in action again, to see them remade, remastered, the music remixed and whatnot. I don't know, for one thing, why it doesn't have fucking Panic Pinball from Mario Party 5, because that minigame was fucking amazing. But it's cool to see them again in action. But beyond that, what else do you have in this game? Not much of fucking anything, I'll tell you that much. Because, like, there's really, like, almost no content here, and the bonus things, right, that they have, like the minigame sort of mode thing, minigame bonus mode things, are so shallow. They're almost, like, non-existent, really. Sure, you kind of have this thing where you play through, you know, a linear sort of board, almost in the sense of Mario Party 9 and 10, where you can unlock more minigames and whatnot, but it's so shallow in content. You play it for 2 hours and you've seen almost all that you need to see. It almost baffles me. Why did they make this a full-out Mario Party standalone game? It could have worked almost like as a bonus to like existing Mario Party or something. So it's like, well, it's cool. It's just, again, it is so lacking in content. It's baffling. Fucking hell, man. Alright, let's see, what else do we got here? How about some NES stuff? Here we have the longest name in the NES library, and that's just North American and European games. There's probably something longer on the Famicom. But this is Jack Nicklaus's greatest 18 holes of major championship golf. It's by Konami, and, well, this game tries to be something, you know, something quite big and ambitious, shall we say. The way its graphics are, it almost tries to be sort of like 3D, you know, sort of like an advanced PC golf game or something. I don't, you know, this probably isn't that good of a game. It's just very hard to, you know, kind of get into with its meter and mechanics and, you know, golfing action and whatnot. It's just, look at it. It just looks kind of crude, but at the same time possibly impressive. It's a dirt cheap game too. I actually got this, I mean, I got it for free from my friend Fabio, who was going to originally give this to me back when I got like 3 more NES games from him, which were Bondi Golf Challenge, Pebble Beach, Top Players Tennis, and TNC Surf Designs. This was supposed to be one of them, but he couldn't find it at the time. But then when he did find it, it's now mine, but yeah. Staying on the golf side of things, here we have Golf Grand Slam. I've been kind of wanting to get all the NES golf games, and now that I've got this, the only one I'm missing is Greg Norman's Golf Power. Yeah. This one was not cheap. I'm embarrassed to say, but I ended up paying $39 for this. I know why. I mean, I could have probably got it cheaper too, but you know what? I've got a lot of great deals over the years, so whatever. I'm weird. I buy weird shit like this. I'm sure most people who probably bought this game are going for a complete NES collection. I can't imagine many people actually bought this thinking, you know what? I'm in the mood for an 8-bit golf game. Let me spend $30 fucking on one, despite the fact that all the other NES golf games are cheaper. Because this is not a very common game. As for the game itself, well, it, you know, seems to be the most advanced of the golf games on the NES. The music is fucking not good. And well, I kind of was able to fumble my way around it despite it being more advanced and whatnot, but, you know, I wasn't very good at it. It's just kind of meh. I suppose I got into it more than, you know, fucking Jack Nicklaus here, but, still not very, you know, great or anything. Just kind of meh. And, here we have, Pinbot, which, you know, hey, it's a game by Rare, and it's a pinball game. Would have got it because, you know, hey, I kind of like pinball games, but the thing that motivated me most is that this is actually part of the Nintendo Campus Challenge. You know the Nintendo Campus Challenge. I don't need to explain that. In that, you had to get 100,000 points, which I think was a little too easy. In fact, you know, getting 100,000 points in this is like, you know, fucking, you know, too free. They should have made it slightly higher. It's an interesting, you know, sort of game. It doesn't seem very, you know, like, it doesn't seem like it would last you that long. Like, honestly, I played more of Black Box Pinball, and would probably revisit that more so than I would this. Not saying it's bad, it's just kind of, you know, not, you know, as entertaining as it seemed. It seems like there's only, like, one table. But, you know, what? Hey, for the price you pay, I guess you could do worse. And here we have Wrath of the Black Manta. It's a platformer, you know, I guess, you know, plays a ninja, throws some shurikens and whatnot. It seems pretty decent. I couldn't get into it as much as I wanted to, because, playing a bunch of other games. And I'm not sure if I want to invest as much time as I could with this. Just kind of like got to the first boss, struggled to actually get past the stage without dying. So, I don't know. I really wish I could actually sit down and give you a much more thorough, analysis and opinion on this game and its difficulty and whatnot. But I just kind of have lukewarm impressions of it overall. And hey, it's cheap, and I'm always down to get another platformer on the NES. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, how about some Wii games? Yeah, some Wii games. Here we have Elebits. I've got 2 Wii games here. They were both 2 for $10, so what the hell? Got some good ones. This is Elebits. Said to be a hidden gem on the console. I played it for a little bit, and it's pretty fun. You just kind of go around various rooms of a house with this stunner gun, I think it is. Capture gun. Yeah, that's what it says, capture gun on the back. You collect Elebits, which in turn power certain parts of the house. You don't have to collect all the Elebits in a stage. You have a timer and whatnot, and eventually we'll say, hey, you don't have to complete the stage, but do you want to continue anyways? See how high of a percentage you can get. It was actually pretty entertaining. I won't lie. This is actually a pretty cool, creative game. It's got some motion controls, but it's not something that's actually heavily waggled down by it. Heavily waggled down by it? What the hell? But, yeah, actually a pretty cool game. Worth checking out for sure. I might actually beat it soon, hopefully. And the next game I got here is Fishing Master World Tour, which you might be like, what the hell? Why? What is this? Why'd you buy it? Is this shovelware shit? No, it's actually not. It's by Hudson, so I think that alone gives it slightly more of an advantage compared to other potential shovelware shit on the Wii. And truth be told it's a pretty good game. It plays very well, it looks very nice, and it's just cool to have. I don't have many fishing games, but I actually got a kick out of this, Not the quite crazy arcade action as, say, Sega Bass Fishing, but not quite the simulation sort of action as, say, I don't know, other fishing games. Is this better than Fishing Derby on Atari 2600? I don't know, but in any case, very cool to have, even if it doesn't seem like it. I actually kind of want to play this a little more than Elebits, to be honest. No, that's no knack against Elebits. Here we have FIFA 14 on the PS4. Again, I kind of got this kind of for hey, World Cup, let's get some soccer games, woo. Again, $5. First FIFA on the PS4. We did a watch us play of it, and that's really the only time I played it. I thought it was alright, but Philippe kind of shit-talked this game, and I guess he might be right. He definitely knows about this more than I do. I wanted FIFA 14 specifically for the fact that it was, of course, the first one on the PS4, and hey, 2014, World Cup year. I mean, sure, there is a World Cup 2014 game, but, yeah. Then we got Vanquish on the Xbox 360. That's something different. I'm not sure how many of you were expecting to see this on this fucking show. It's a third-person shooter by Platinum Games. It's very crazy and, over the top and whatnot. And, it's pretty good. I don't know how much I'll get into it. I don't know if I'll sit down and beat it anytime soon, but I enjoyed my time with it, I've been a little more open to third-person shooters. Mostly third-person shooters over first-person shooters after beating Winback on the N64, and this is definitely not like Winback. It's obviously a lot more crazy and intense. Who knows, I might get Kill Switch on the original Xbox soon. But yeah, very cool game. It was published by Sega. It's enjoyable, Fast, fluid, frantic. I think that's the best way to describe it, because that's what it says on the back. Though I should really pay attention to the story more so in Vanquish. Okay, here we have Pebble Beach Golf Links on the Sega Saturn. Here we have 3 golf games on this show. So it's golf, on the infamous Pebble Beach, which, yeah. It's pretty fun, it's just about as fun as, I guess, really any other good golf game. It's a multi-tap game, so that's cool. And, of course, hey, it's always great to have another Saturn game. I was actually sent this accidentally before one time when I was buying, back in December, when I bought, well, let me see if I can get it. When I bought F1 Challenge, I was accidentally sent this game, but then I had to send it back to the seller, and then eventually I got F1 Challenge. I would have got this game anyways, regardless, at some point, but, you know, yeah, just kind of a funny story for you. And, hey, Craig Stadler, give some good advice on the golf courses here. That man knows his shit. He knows what he's talking about. Alright, how are we doing on time? What the hell, I think we have time for one more. Tales of Berseria on the PlayStation 4. Objectively, the game I have the most to say about of all of these because, well, I mean, if you know what this is, you could probably guess. Now, I did kind of recently get into the Tales of series, and by recently, I mean August of 2015. Started off with Vesperia, then moved on to Symphonia, then Tales of Greece's F, then Tales of the Abyss, and now this. And I'll say that Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Symphonia, and Tales of the Abyss are three of my favorite games of all time. I fucking love those games. They're fantastic. Tales of Grace's F, fucking hated it. I really did. I know some people would probably, you know, I don't know how many people would actually get triggered by me saying that, but yeah, fuck Tales of Grace's F. Might be one of the worst games I've ever played, actually. Even if there are worse RPGs and whatnot. But anyways, let's get back on topic. So, Tales of Berseria is actually the latest game in the Tales of franchise. It came out in August of 2016 in Japan, and February of 2017 in North America. I was interested in buying a copy of this game. I would have probably actually got it last year, too, when I first got my PS4. But by the time I got it in March of 2017. The game was... I'm pretty sure the game was actually discontinued. I ended up buying off of Best Buy's website for like $25 brand new. So I'm not sure if even if you bought this game off of like Best Buy or something, Namco would still get your money, but whatever. I kind of wanted to actually buy it at retail because, you know, I wanted to, you know, support the franchise and whatnot. But in any case, so how's the game itself? I'll say this. It's a great game. You know, it does a lot of things very well, but honestly, it doesn't quite, you know, get me excited, or I don't think it's quite as good as Abyss, Symphonia, and Vesperia. And you know what, that's fine. I can accept playing through games like that because, well, as long as it's still enjoyable, that's fine, right? As long as it's still enjoyable in its own right, it's fine. And yes, this is enjoyable in its own right. It ended up being the shortest time I spent with a Tales of game, like 52 hours. I started it late April, finished it, actually started April 20th, and then finished it June 15th. So, yeah, and I'll say this much, as great of a game as it is, and as much as I enjoyed it, I think if it lasted any longer than that, it would have started to, you know, I would have started to grow fatigue, basically. Because, yes, while the game itself is great, I just feel that I have very mixed feelings on the whole, you know, Velvet out for revenge plot and whatnot, trying to kill Artorias. Not saying it's bad or anything like that. It's plentiful entertaining, and, you know, and while, yes, that's obviously, like, there's obviously more to the story than just that, and it ends up being more of a reason to kill Artorias, the main villain, than simply the fact that he sacrificed Velvet's brother, Laphicet. You know, obviously, yes, it becomes more than that, but it's like, I don't know. Like, the fact that that's, like, what started this whole thing, I have kind of mixed feelings about that. But there are still very enjoyable moments of the game, like, eventually, Velvet, you know, Velvet Crow here, who is actually the first female protagonist of the series. I mean, sure, there was Mila in Tales of Exilia, but, you know, Tales of Exilia was different, how it's like, oh, choose Jude or Mila to view the story from their perspective, whatever the hell that means. And, you know, she eventually meets a, Malakim, or Malak, I guess, either one, you know, who's basically a slave Malak under control of some, you know, bitch named Lady Teresa. And, you know, she takes, the Malakim with them on their adventure and eventually gives him the name Laphicet, you know, named after Velvet's dead brother. And seeing, Laphicet, you know, like, grow and learn and become, you know, a better, like, character compared to, you know, the lifeless soul that he was under, you know, Lady Teresa's control, it's very entertaining. It really is. Not just from Velvet's perspective, but from everyone else's perspective, too, you know? And, like, you know, Magilu, I mean, she's a fantastic character. Who freaking, you know, like, doesn't, you know, like Magilu? Or I don't know. Maybe some people hate her, I don't know. There's a lot of people compare her to a Disgaea character, which I've never played a Disgaea game, so I'll just have to take their word for it. And also Eleanor, you know, she's a great character too. Seeing her, you know, like, change from the opposing force that she was, you know, at the start when the party meet her, to eventually, of course, becoming a, you know, member of the team, and for a very good reason too. It doesn't feel forced, and seeing her, you know, see all, like, the wrongdoings of the Abbey and whatnot, it's just, it's all very well done. And other things like, you know, how Velvet and the, you know, team, like, are usually traveling with the pirates, you know, because how Aizen, he's a pirate, and, you know, he's on the ship and whatnot with, you know, Benwick and all the other pirates and whatnot. That's all, like, very entertaining stuff. It really is. It's just that the whole, you know, revenge plot, even if there's more to it, you know, it feels like not quite enough to deliver on the whole journey, even if it ended up being shorter than the other games. But, you know, it was still entertaining enough for me to, you know, beat it and enjoy it, especially with its combat system. Its combat system was great. I mean, some people might say it's, you know, spammy or non-tactical, but I don't give a fuck about that. This game, it's still fucking fun, as is the combat system with generally all the Tales of games, except for Tales of Grace's F, because fuck that game. You know, it's just entertaining overall, and that's one thing I really love about the Tales of games, is its real-time combat system. It's miles better than turn-based in any of my experience, you know? It's not tedious, you're not fucking sitting there for like 40 minutes only to get fucked over near the end of the battle by something you couldn't control no matter how well you planned it out. You know, there's still a challenge here. There's still some challenge, especially if you want to put it on a harder difficulty. But all in all, it's a very, you know, comfortable journey. And just a great game overall, even if the whole, you know, start of the plot is, I feel, not enough to drive the game completely. Even if it's more than that, and even if I really enjoyed it. Still, a great game, for sure. And I'm still glad that, you know, it didn't last like 80 hours, basically. Also, the ending to this game is kind of dumb. More specifically, the part with Velvet having to seal herself away and feed Anomanod because he's hungry, and Anomanod is, you know, fucking reincarnation of, you know, the original Officer, Velvet's dead brother. It's just, come on, really? It's lame. Also, Rokuro here, he kind of looks like Raven from Vesperia, doesn't he?